Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today is my monthly Q&A video. I can't believe how quickly the month has gone by. But as always, I've printed out a list of questions here, and thanks so much for all the great questions and comments. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to leave a question for next month, leave a comment on this video and I'll compile those and I'll do another video next month with all the questions. From Dan, and Dan leaves great comments and questions on my videos, so thanks so much, Dan, for that. Question for this month: what is your favorite A24 release? Mine currently is Florida Project, though I have a feeling when I see The Green Knight that might take the top spot. And also love Hereditary, Uncut Gems, and The Witch. Now, I've made a list of some of my favorite titles, and then I have a few here as well. But some of my favorite titles are A Most Violent Year, Ex Machina, Moonlight, Obvious Child, The End of the Tour, 20th Century Women, and this one, which I've talked about on the channel before, De Palma, which is one of my favorite documentaries. And of course, De Palma I'm such a huge fan of. And you can see too on the spine, this one happens to have a slipcover that A24 is listed here too. And then I've talked about this one as well, First Cow. I'm such a big fan of Kelly Reichardt. This is an A24 film also, but one of my favorite films of hers. And then Lady Bird, which is really great. And as I mentioned before, I like the Blu-ray DVD digital combo these days, or if it's a 4K Blu-ray digital, that's the preferred combo for me. So those would be my favorite A24 titles. I'm a big fan of A24, and so those are just a few of them. They're coming out with some great films all the time, so thanks so much for that question. From Jared: hey Dave, enjoyed the video as always, thanks very much. I just saw Michael Mann's Heat for the first time in theaters this weekend. Wow, that's a great movie to see for the first time in the theater for sure. I was curious what you think of Heat and maybe your top 3 Mann films. I think Heat beat out Thief as my new favorite. Absolutely loved it. So I'm a big fan of the movie Heat, and I really enjoy watching it. And I could watch it over and over again. Here it is. Here's my copy of Heat. This is on Blu-ray, and there may be a 4K of this one as well, but I have the Blu-ray. This one is also has some special features with an audio commentary and some Q&A with Michael Mann as well. But I'm a big fan of Michael Mann, and I made a list also of some of my favorite Michael Mann films. Manhunter is a great one as well, which I've seen a couple of times. The Insider, which I've actually have just been recently rewatching. Collateral. And then I'm also a big fan of Thief as well, and I have the Criterion Collection release of Thief with James Caan, one of my favorite James Caan movies. This one happens to be spine number 691. And so to answer your question, I'm a big fan of Heat. I really like the fact that you see Robert De Niro and Al Pacino on screen together for the first time. So pretty amazing when those two meet in the film. Again, just a big fan of Michael Mann. Thanks so much for that question. I could watch a Michael Mann film over and over again, and I often do. Great question. The next one comes from Jessica. What is your favorite Daniel Day-Lewis performance? A question for next month. I'm looking forward to seeing Annette by Leos Carax next month. Have not heard of that. But my favorite Daniel Day-Lewis performance, of course, Daniel Day-Lewis is such an amazing actor, so I like him in most everything I see him in. But I have to say, There Will Be Blood is probably my favorite Daniel Day-Lewis performance. And there's the back of that one. And I'm such a big fan of Paul Thomas Anderson as well. So this really has, two of my favorite collaborators involved. And this is just a great movie if you haven't had a chance to see it. This happens to be the 2-disc collector's edition of There Will Be Blood, which is a great film. Great question. The next one comes from Juan Carlos Moreno. Hi, Dave. Are you planning to get the Shout Factory Halloween editions? The short answer to that is no. I have all the Halloween films, and I know that there were new editions coming out with some special features and things like that. I'm a big fan of Halloween 1978. And actually, just up on the channel, my wife Jessie and I reviewed all the films. Actually, we watched all the films in chronological order a couple of years ago, and we put up our thoughts, and I'll link that video below. But that's, I'm a big fan of the franchise, of course, but I was not planning on getting these new releases. Some movies you can buy over and over again, and as much as I'm a fan of the Halloween franchise, I probably will not buy Halloween again. Of course, they say that now, and then maybe they'll come out with a special edition with new special features, which is usually when I will pick up a new copy of it. But I have a couple of copies of Halloween 1978. I have Halloween 2018. I am looking forward to the new Halloween, which is Halloween Kills, which is coming out hopefully this year. But that's a great question. And if you like those editions and you're a big fan, those look like amazing releases of the Halloween films. So the next question is is from Andreas. Hi Dave, my question this time is, which Abbas Kiarostami film is your favorite? Mine is Taste of Cherry and the Koker Trilogy. Now the Koker Trilogy I've done some videos on as well, which is one of my favorites, but I have to say my top favorite is, like you, Taste of Cherry. This is the Criterion Collection edition of that movie. There's the back of that one, and this one happens to be spine number 45, so this is really early on in the Criterion Collection. I just love this movie. I could watch it over and over again. I'm a huge Kiarostami fan for many, many reasons. What I'm going to do is link the Koker Trilogy video series below because I'm a huge fan of that trilogy as well, but I have to say Taste of Cherry is my favorite. Very good. The next question is, great video. I hope Freaks 1932 gets a Criterion release. Has there been a film you were excited to see and ended up not liking it? Now, sometimes when I see a film, I may not like it the first time, but I will give it some more chances, right? Maybe it was not the right time. Maybe I was not in the best of moods, or whatever the case is. But I will say that a couple of films that I maybe didn't really like on the first watch, one of them happens to be actually an A24 film, Midsommar. Now, I like part of this movie, but for whatever reason, I was not a fan of it. Now, I would like to see it. I'm planning on watching this one again this year to kind of give it another chance. And I really like to do that with films too, give them a few chances to see maybe if I will connect with it in a different way. Now, A24, of course, I just said I love them. And so I really feel like I want to give this movie another chance. The next one is, I mentioned this on the channel before, is actually all the films, the Lord of the Rings 3-film collection. Well, Lord of the Rings trilogy, I suppose. I think it is a trilogy, yeah. And I have the DVD versions of these. I think I have digital copies of these as well. I for whatever reason, was not a big fan of the Lord of the Rings for some reason. Again, I'm willing to give it another chance. I probably will watch these films again, but for whatever reason, I just wasn't connecting with the Lord of the Rings at the time that I sat down to watch it. So, as I mentioned before, sometimes, films just don't hit you right the first time, so you give them another chance. Let me know in the comments below, maybe, because I think that's a great question. If there's a film you watched maybe for the first time, didn't like it, and then watched it again, and let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. Great question. The next question comes from Cartoon Fortress. Hello, my friend. I'm curious to know your top 3 boutique labels outside of Criterion. I'm struggling to formulate an answer of my own because there are so many amazing labels doing outstanding work right now, but I will say that Indicator and Second Sight out of the UK are producing some outstanding limited edition titles, and I totally agree with that. And third, I want to mention Kino Lorber. I feel like they get left out of the conversation sometimes. I love Kino Lorber, and I've talked about Kino Lorber before on the channel, and I just pulled a few titles that, here's a Kino Lorber title here. Broken Flowers. This is a Jim Jarmusch film. There's the back of that one. There are some special features on these from time to time. I like Kino Lorber also because it has, most of the films anyway, have this black label, so I can see them very easily in my collection. But Kino Lorber is doing some great work. They're continuing to release new, new releases of films that have been out there for a while. So I love Kino Lorber. I'm a huge fan. The next one is Indicator. Now I have some Indicator sets, some box sets, but this is a standalone release. There's the back of that one. The Indicator is great out of the UK. They have some amazing special features. I love the numbering system and the colors down at the bottom as well. This happens to be a Sidney Lumet film, the Anderson tapes, but they have some great individual releases like this, and then some, the box sets are simply amazing. So Indicator, huge fan as well. Second Sight also, I like Second Sight quite a bit. And then I'm also a big fan of Arrow. So this is a version of Silent Running with Bruce Dern, which is one of my favorite movies. You can see also all the extra features on the Arrow editions of movies. So Arrow would probably be my third special label outside of Criterion. That's a great question, though. And, it's really important to support these labels because, even though there's a lot of physical media out there today and you can order from Amazon, you can order from a lot of different places, I really like to support these boutique labels because I feel like they really spend a lot of time restoring the film, preserving it, having a lot of respect for the film, including all the extra features. Sometimes you really don't see, with a regular release of certain films, you don't see all these special features, which, as you know from the channel, I just love to dive into. So another great question. Thanks so much for that one. And the final question is from Mike Davis. Question for next month's Q&A. What are some of your favorite silent films that you've seen or own? Please try and list films that aren't Chaplin, Keaton, or Lloyd, who of course, I'm big fans there. Some of my favorites are Pandora's Box, The Passion of Joan of Arc, and Nosferatu. Now, I've only really picked one here, and I'm a big fan of Alfred Hitchcock, and so his early silent films are really amazing to watch, and this is a Criterion edition of The Lodger, which is really good. And there's another silent film on here as well, Downhill, is also on here from 1927. This happens to be spine number 885. I'm such a big fan of Hitchcock, and if you haven't seen any early Hitchcock silent films, it's great to see these films because you can really see some of his technique developing in these early films that you see later in later films like Psycho, Rear Window, etc. So if you haven't seen any of his earlier films, I highly recommend it. The Lodger, as well as Downhill, which is on this release. And that's going to do it for my August Q&A video. I really appreciate all the questions and comments. Please leave me a question below for the next video if you like. Leave me a comment below as well. Let's keep the dialogue moving in the comment section below. But I just want to say thanks again for all the great questions and comments. If you like this video, click on like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. That would be awesome. And I sincerely hope that everyone is safe and well, and I'll talk to you soon.